Welcome to Juniper Level Botanic Gardens. I'm Tony Avent, founder of the gardens here at Juniper Level, just south of Raleigh. A little bit about our gardens. We started 1986 with the idea that we wanted to have one of the largest plant collections we could in the region to show what will grow, trial plants out, learn about those plants, and we'll take you on a brief travel log around the garden today. We'll start out with one of our southwest areas. So we have here by our parking lot plants that are not irrigated in extremely good soil and things that really like hot, dry weather. Even though we have very heavy rains sometime during the year, especially July and August, we have the gardens so that they are incredibly well drained. You can see a lot of different century plants here. We in the gardens now have over 500 different kinds of century plants. We've experimented, we've gone back in the wild, made new seed collections from higher areas, and once we got all the species in, we've actually hybridized them. So a lot of the ones you see are some of our own creations. But there's a lot that you can grow for a warming or changing climate. Let's walk as we go through some more things. The beds out here by the parking lot are all very dryland plants, a lot from the southwest, some plants from the Middle East, some from the deserts, just all kinds of areas that will thrive in this very hot, dry climate. We experiment with plants as well from very wet climates. These are cycads, many of these native to Southeast Asia. We were told they wouldn't grow here. Turns out we found a number that are actually fine here. So you can create any type of appearance that you want in gardens if you know the plants and know what plants thrive in your area. This is one of the most unique features of the dryland part of the garden. This is our Crevice Garden. This was made with 200 tons of recycled concrete, most from here on the property. And we wanted to take and give people an idea of what you can do with the waste material. So many people would rather go in and bury concrete in the landfill. We said, let's see if we can't turn it into something artistic and something that allows us to grow plants that we would otherwise be unable to grow. So let's walk down the crevice. The Crevice Garden is just beginning to wake up for the spring. Many of the plants, Mediterranean plants, are just beginning to come out. A lot of the dryland plants go dormant in the wintertime, so they're just beginning to pop. Even in between that, we do have water. Water is prevalent in all parts of the world. It's just in lesser amounts. So here we've created seeps, which is basically a drip to be able to grow plants that like that particular habitat. So much of what we do is ex-situ conservation work. It's preserving plants, especially rare plants from all over the world, so that they can be studied by academics here. They can be used to produce medicines. All plants have incredible uses for human society. And we wanted to create one of the largest collections of plants in the United States, which currently exist here at Juniper Level. As you can see, water drips all through the garden, but not in every area. We found plants that we wouldn't think would be able to grow. Here are orchids growing right in the crevice, growing in almost pure gravel up amongst concrete, and they're quite happy. Cyclamen are tucked in and out. These are what's known as chasmophytes. These are plants that really prefer to grow in rock cracks. So by creating all these interesting habitats, we're able to grow plants that few other people are able to grow. We found that many plants are completely winter hardy as long as they're not wet in the winter. So we created, when we built this, these overhang ledges, and that keeps enough of the water off in the winter that we're able to grow drabas, which is a little rock garden plant from Spain, dudleas from California, or succulent cotyledons from South Africa, all together, and plants that normally we're told can't grow here. The public section of the garden is almost 10 acres. It goes from sun to shade and transitions back and forth, which allows us to grow an incredible array of plants, from the beautiful camellias, which are in bloom now, to the array of trilliums. We currently have almost 2,000 different trilliums. This is the largest trillium collection in the world and one of our specialty groups that we feature. Many of the wild gingers, another group that we have the largest in-ground collection reportedly in the world, are just beginning to flower now with these amazing flowers that look like animal faces looking at you from down at ground level. Really quite amazing. We've been able to introduce a number of plants from the garden through the years. Probably our most famous is the beautiful Florida sunshine anise that we introduced several years ago and named. That now is available at nurseries literally all over the world. So pretty excited to have a lot of our plants getting out into more mainstream nurseries. When you visit the gardens, one of the amazing habitats we've been able to create is a number of waterfalls through the garden, and areas you can stand behind the waterfalls, and really quite amazing to have these water features. Water features help bring life to the garden because so many birds, insects, etc. need that water to be able to survive. And any time that you can add water to the garden, you've done a great thing environmentally. This is one of our water retention areas we call a sunken garden, because here we came in and excavated down 6 feet to be able to have this water area that captures water from the greenhouses. So every time they irrigate, all that water runs through a vegetation filter of a lot of our wonderful native iris and hibiscus and other plants, comes out into here, then it's aerated to the top of the waterfall and it recirculates. So taking that water and making it reusable over and over again, as well as making it an aesthetic part of the garden, is very important. So we walk back into the shade. We're seeing an array of plants. Our garden curator, Doug Rurin, is here doing inventory of the gardens. Inventory is something we constantly have to do. We're 27,000 taxa. It's always making notes of what lived, what died, what didn't do well. So Doug's got a big job to do that. So glad to have him on the job. So part of our habitat creation involves both dryland areas and wet areas. So here we looked at where did we have a lot of water. Well, anytime you have greenhouses covered in plastic, you're going to have a lot of water sheeting off. So we created bog habitats. This one is filled with a lot of natives, in particular pitcher plants. They're dormant at this time. They'll be popping out for our spring open house in May. It should be in full flower then, if not a little bit past that. So not only this area, but this one up here. Is a great example of what you could do in a very small area in your home garden. You can create a habitat in a very small area where you can grow both agaves, cactus, as well as pitcher plants, all virtually side by side. Even though they require very different habitats to be happy in, you can create those right in the same area. So a lot of what we love to do is show people what's possible in a small space. To us, so many people decide what they're going to do with their garden with what their neighbor did, and often there's not a lot of creativity going on there. So when we open up to the public 4 times a year, 2 weekends each season, we hope people will come out and get an idea of what's actually possible, what kind of amazing plants they can grow in their own home garden. We love showing people that by the use of pathways and the use of rocks, it's almost like putting an expander on your garden. You can make your garden appear much larger than it is. So we have pathways that weave in and out of a bed, making sure the beds are not too wide so that you can't get a good view and actually touch and feel the plants, which we feel like is very important. So we took this basically side of a hill that we had created and re-rocked all of this, and really that allows you so many little micro habitats for plants. So you can see all these rare treasures are tucked in all the way throughout the rocks, which give you just an opportunity to grow so many more plants. And it's all about biodiversity. That's the lesson we really want to have people leave with when they visit. It's all about the biodiversity. That's what brings insects into the garden, what brings birds into the garden. It's what makes the gardens alive. The birds and insects don't care where the plants are from. They care that there's diversity, so they can get nectar, they can get pollen, they can get all the things that make them thrive. And we care about things other than pollinators. Pollinators are just a small percentage of the insects that are out there. All of those are important to have a good, healthy ecosystem. And as are the plants. You see a lot of the amazing hellebores, one of our specialty genera. Really amazing colors we've collected and try to keep on top of the best of the new introductions that you'll see. A lot of ferns. You'll see ferns scattered throughout the garden. We've got, we're told, the largest in-ground fern collection in the world. So there's a lot of ferns to see. All kinds of amazing things. The epimediums are really quite incredible. I think our epimedium collection is also one of the top in the world. They've come so far in the last really 20 years. It's absolutely been amazing to see. And gardens with this kind of diversity change all the time, and that's part of the beauty, is every single day there's something going on. This wasn't out a couple of days ago. This is a gold-leafed shredded umbrella plant. 2 days ago I was up here, that was not even up, but that's looking absolutely amazing today. So Russ, also the beautiful mayaples. We absolutely are in love with mayaples. We've got Native American mayaples, we got Asian mayaples. They're all absolutely stunning and just getting ready to come into bloom. And trees, even though our nursery doesn't sell trees, we like to promote really interesting trees. One of my favorites is this one. This is the Weeping Chinese Hackberry. I think one of the most elegant trees that you can grow in this area. A beautiful form and habitat and very fast growing. One of the beautiful things we've had a great season with this year are the deciduous magnolias. Often we get late frosts that ruin the flowers, but this year it's been fabulous. You can see the beautiful clump of magnolia yellow fever looking absolutely fabulous today. You see why people grow magnolias when you have years like this. We're walking by another of our bog gardens. This is one of the original bog areas, and this allows us to grow again more pitcher plants, a lot of bog ferns, a lot of incredible plants that love this wet climate, this wet habitat. So many people have wet areas in the garden, they want to drain them. And we would like to encourage people instead to plant plants that like it in those wet areas. They serve a very useful purpose to collect water, to provide habitat for frogs, snails, lizards, all kind of cool things that live in the water. One of the things we love in spring are the ferns coming out, the new fiddleheads. This is our native Osmunda regalis, or royal fern, looking absolutely incredible. Plant that will grow anywhere in the garden, but really loves it here right at the edge of the water. Walking by in the distance, one of our garden club visits, our garden manager, Logan Clark, is showing them around. So we love having groups to come out. Well, primarily in open house days, but special groups that want to come, plant groups, garden clubs. All they need to do is make an appointment. We're glad to have them and show them around the garden. Another of our plant introductions is Edgeworthia chrysanthus snow cream, a plant we introduced over 2 decades ago. It's starting to finally get the popularity it really deserves. This is one of our older specimens. Beautiful wafts of honeysuckle-like perfume just go all through the garden, starting in late January, early February until really mid to late April. What an incredible plant and so easy to grow. As I mentioned earlier, we love water in the garden. This is actually our first grotto we built, recirculating of water, and then that runs any overflow during a storm would run into another system that recirculates. But Really creates not only a lovely sound, but again, a great place for nature to thrive. As we go through, we're seeing more and more of the wonderful ginger lilies, just with their incredible flowers. This is called the panda face ginger. A lovely plant with these amazing flowers that look just like the face of a panda, for those that have seen such close up. A lot of people don't realize we have native palms to the southeast, but this is one of our most famous. This is the needle palm. This is the hardiest of all palms, despite being native to North Florida and adjacent Alabama, a little bit into Georgia. This plant is fine in the ground to almost minus 20 Fahrenheit. Pretty incredible for a plant from the deep south. So much of what we try to showcase in the garden, in addition to the plants, is garden design. How can you make your garden more friendly so that you want to spend more time out in it? Little things like the water, the rocks, structures like a gazebo. Not just a gazebo that just sits out in the middle of a lawn, but a gazebo that fits into the landscape, as we've tried to do here, just building the woodland garden around that to make it look like truly an oasis that you can go to where you want to get away from things, to relax and just enjoy the garden in a peaceful setting. This is one of our most recently constructed garden spaces that we put in a year ago. This is a rock bog. So this is a combination rock garden and bog garden. We'd never seen one of those done, so it allows us to create two habitats right together. So this thing for spring open house should be in a full blaze of glory. Hope you'll come back out and see that. And now is our full sun garden. We planted too many trees in the first couple sections, so they become shaded. This is known as the pseudo garden, named after our late neighbor, and this is where we showcase all those beautiful fun plants. If you come out for our spring open house, which is the first 2 weekends in May, you'll see an incredible array of peonies for the south. I get so tired of hearing that peonies don't grow in the south. It's only a couple of varieties that don't grow. The majority of them do absolutely wonderful. The sun garden's filled with a variety of plants, from shrubs to small trees, a lot of conifers, a lot of yuccas, a lot of deciduous azaleas. If the weather holds, they'll be in full bloom for spring open house. Absolutely amazing. Some of the most incredible colors you'll find on the natives. Early in the year, we catch a lot of the beautiful deciduous trees that are late winter flowering. This is a wonderful purple leaf peach called Bonanza. It's a dwarf peach, not for eating, but pretty incredible in flower. And then the beautiful purple foliage holds all summer. Quite incredible, but very, very poorly known. One of the most famous trees of late winter or early spring are the red buds. This is a selection of our native red bud called Carolina Sweetheart, with beautiful variegated foliage in addition to the flowers. And then behind me is the Chinese red bud, Thyrsus chinensis. This is a cultivar called Avondale. It's probably one of the heaviest flowering red buds that exist, and much more of a shrubby form than the tree form of our native, but both incredible plants for late winter, early spring bloom. In addition to seeing great plants when you come out, we'll hope you'll be able to help you solve some design issues in your own gardens. This section of garden had a lot of water runoff because of the steep slope. So we solved that problem by creating a series of interconnected rain gardens. So all through the garden, you'll see these rain gardens. And rain gardens are depressions that catch water. They can be absolutely full of water one day and bone dry a week later. So you have to plant plants that will tolerate both conditions. But they keep us from sending sediment off into the stream. Although we do use only organic nutrients here in the garden, we still don't want those escaping. So every single garden or rain garden is tied together to the next one. It goes down and down. So many times there'll be 7 or 8 levels. Each one captures the water, but it also allows us to grow an array of wonderful plants, from the iris that love bogs to the native hibiscus, just incredible array of plants that love those conditions. And instead of trying to fill it all in and then send all the water and the soil downstream, which is not what anyone wants to do. Yeah, what an incredible show today on the Chinese redbud of our native bumblebees. So again, you hear constantly, well, the natives prefer something native. It's simply not true. They prefer diversity. I don't see a single honeybee on there, even though we have 7 honeybee hives. It's the native bees that are out getting the nectar from the redbud. This is one of our research and field production areas. So often a lot of the interesting plants that we want to share from the gardens, there are no commercial sources, so we have to grow them ourselves. And many of these take 1 to 7 years. So we grow those in the field in this area. And this is, once they're big enough, then we dig them up, put them in a pot, and make them available. You really couldn't do this without an area like this because your cost would be so high. So by keeping things in the ground, we're able to keep costs much lower. A lot of research is done here, whether it's breeding research, whether it's comparing one species to another, sometimes naming new species, sometimes trialing. Research is a big part of what we do. We say we are research, breeding, and plant conservation garden funded by a mail order nursery. So 7 years ago, knowing that I'm getting old, we decided to look at what to do for the future. And we gifted all of this to North Carolina State University. They explained, we're glad to hold the land, but we have no money to run it. So they were kind enough to set us up an endowment and allow me to become an official fundraiser. So what we're doing now, we're in the process of trying to raise money for that endowment. That endowment, when it matures, will generate 4%, and that will be enough, if the endowment is full, to be able to run the garden, to keep the gardens not just here, but actually looking nice, to keep the plants alive, to keep the plants labeled, and all those important things. So we're really in the middle of, we're probably in, almost 20% towards our goal of $20 million. So we'd love for anybody that would like to visit, to come out and visit. If you like what you see, we'll hope you consider giving to the endowment so that we can open up full-time at that point, and we'll be a sister institution to the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. A lot of what you see in here are really the only ones of a certain thing that grow anywhere in the world. We have the world's largest collection of surprise lilies. You'll see that green foliage. They are summer dormant, but they come up in the winter months and begin growing. Many of these don't exist anywhere else in the world, and that's our goal, is to start from one plant, get these propagated so we can get them out and share. Because you never, if you're a conservationist, you never want to have the only one of something. You want to have it dispersed as widely as possible. And that's our mission, that we not just conserve, but we share the plants. That's where the late J.C. Ralston and I really came together, was we both believe, trial the plants, grow the diversity, and then propagate and share them as widely as possible. And by here are daylilies, and these are not just run-of-the-mill daylilies. These are all wild collected in South Korea, something that would be impossible to do today. But many years ago, the U.S. National Arboretum was able to get over there probably almost 50 years ago now, and conserve these. And they were kind enough to give us a duplicate collection, which now we're working to get these to daylily breeders and get these out to share. But these have incredible genetics, many of which are simply not available anywhere else in the world. This is another of our trial areas, this one for Epimediums. So again, we have one of the largest Epimedium collections in the world, and here allows us to get good photos, good measurements, evaluate them one against the other. And there's a lot of our hybrids in here. There's pretty much all the species that we've been able to accumulate, and other breeders' hybrids. So we're able to look at them all as a much larger picture. It's really quite incredible, the opportunity we have to evaluate. And this is the type of things we find this important, because the more information we can get out to potential customers, the better luck they're going to have getting the right ones, or something that's better than what may be commonly available in the trade. This is yet another of our trial and field operations. This is all Trillium. So we have about an acre of Trilliums. All of these are grown from seed. So to get a Trillium to flower from seed, we're typically looking at 4 to 6 years. So it's a very slow process, which is why we're one of the only people silly enough to try to grow Trilliums from seed. But we've been doing this now for several decades, and the Trilliums, pretty much every species that will grow here expand all the way up here and all the way up on the other side. And we just feel like it's incumbent that somebody propagate Trilliums in commercial production to keep people from digging them out of the wild, because that's been a problem for so long that people go and dig them out of the wild for sale, and that doesn't do anybody any good. And I'm sure there are a few populations that could sustain that, but that's just not a good practice. Gathering seed for an initial stock is what we want to encourage people to do, and we'd love for more people to join us in this. I hope today has given you a little bit of idea of what we do, what we're about, and hopefully you'll come out if you've never been out for open house at one of our remaining 3 open houses this year, 2 weekends in spring, 2 in summer, 2 in fall, and see what we do, ask questions, hopefully get ideas, and hopefully you'll find this worth helping us preserve through the endowment at NC State University. Thank you very much.